Coming in hot, 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 Lisa shares her financial tips and strategies to build wealth, have fun with finances, and be debt-free without having a restrictive budget. From bankrupt to millionaire, Lisa knows what it's like to feel as if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Her unconventional money multiplier system is the very wealth protocol that enabled her to retire 2.5 years early, pay down $100,000 of debt in 6 months, and move to her dream home at the beach. Hey, welcome to this episode of I Date Money. I got a special guest, someone different than who I usually interview, right? So if you're watching this on the YouTube, you can see that. If you're listening to the podcast, you're just going to have to wait to hear the introduction. But today we have an incredible human being who has really taken the financial industry and expanded his empire. Todd helps clients build investment portfolios and educates them on achieving financial freedom. And I know all you out there want this financial freedom. So Todd, thank you so much for being here, for sharing this space and your energy with us. Tell me, when did you first fall in love with money?
Hey, great question. And Lisa, I'm really absolutely privileged to be here. Taking a step back, so I've been in the investing world and education space for about 20 years now. But before I moved into this space, I was a burnout personal trainer, running a small business, working 17 hours a day, 6 days a week, 50 weeks of the year, with this whole rule of life. I just work really, really hard, then everything's just going to work out. And that was my whole philosophy. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. And by the time I was about 20 years old, I effectively broke myself. I broke my health, I broke my body, wound up in hospital, broke my relationship at the time. And even after working all these hours and all these days and all these weeks, I still wound up broke financially. And I thought that this system of just work hard is broken, right? Because if that's your only strategy, there's only one pathway it's going to lead to either burnout or a lifetime of financial slavery. And after I broke myself, I started going, there's got to be a better way. There has to be something more than this. And that's when I started getting myself educated around, well, what are the successful people? They must be doing something different, because I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, but it was not working. And when I started to study them and started to attend events, and I made a commitment to myself that I was going to, after meeting one of my first mentors, that I was going to buy my very first property deal in 6 months. But I had a bit of a problem at the time. I didn't have any money, which is a little bit difficult to buy your first property. But here's what I find. I found that when you commit to something and you make a true decision, not just a wishy-washy decision, not just a decision you back out of, as soon as the challenge hits up, but when you make a true decision, you leave your excuses behind you, you can make magic happen. 6 months later, bought my first property deal and did a renovation of the property, made more money in that one property deal in the space of 9 months than I did my entire year's income working as a personal trainer. And I learned this powerful lesson that Jim Rohn, the late Jim Rohn, said the best, is that profits are better than wages. And after having that experience and experiencing that idea of leverage and experiencing that idea of having my money working for me rather than me just working for my money, my whole frame of how I approach life absolutely changed. And that's the time that I fell in love with money, not for the sake of money, but for the choices that money can actually bring you in life.
I love that story. And thinking about that, you went from being a personal trainer, and a lot of times people think, well, personal trainers make great money. And I know a few personal trainers. It's not true.
No, they don't.
Even though the healthcare industry is like huge, $1 trillion industry, personal trainers just don't make as much money as we all think they'd like to. So you went through all these phases, and then you took this risk to invest in something, and you didn't really have the money for it. And then it ended up making more money than you had in your adulthood.
100% correct.
What was it like to take that risk, knowing that, there's 7 archetypes of money personalities that I have on the money dating game on my website, and Gary the Gambler is one of them. So you fit the profile perfect, right? So you're rolling the dice, you're taking this risk. What can you tell us more about that? Like, what was the feeling, and what happened while you were waiting?
So it's a really interesting experience, because you say risk, but to me, the biggest risk was doing exactly what I was doing. That was a much greater risk than actually taking this step. Now, I didn't do it from let's just go buy any old property and figure it out. I just chose to, because to me, investing begins well before you buy an asset. It begins well before you buy a property, you buy some shares, you do this. Investing begins by getting yourself educated. Investing begins by working on your psychology. Investing begins in actually understanding that, learning a new way, a system of doing things. And so, although it may seem like gambling, or it may seem like, hey, I'm going to go take out this bigger risk, to me, the biggest risk was staying the way I was. And that if I actually went in this with some intention, with some methodology, with some systems, then I start to reduce the risk. So, and this is a big reframe that a lot of people need to get, because I really sit there and I go, the way that we've been taught, like financial security, we need to redefine financial security. And a lot of people think of financial security as, well, oh, as long as I have my home and I pay down my home, and as long as I have a safe, secure job, which we realize there's no such thing anymore, and I put some money away in the bank or in some retirement savings, and that's security. But what we've learned over the last 20 years, after GFC, after the COVID nonsense we've been through, after everything like that, job security is not a thing, right? And the governments have come out very clearly and said they're willing to dip into retirement, everyone's retirement savings, to fund the economy if they need to in financial crisis, which we've just been in. And so with AI coming, with central bank digital currencies coming, with, unfortunately, governments have kind of overstepped their reach in terms of taking away some people's liberties. I think the biggest risk is doing life just the way you've always been doing it, right? I think the greatest opportunity, and what financial security is that you can, no matter what happens in life, no matter what the government does, what happens in the economy, what happens in life, that you can actually face it head on, and you've got options and choices. And when we have that style of, I call it like your SOS plan, your financial SOS plan. When you've got a financial SOS plan, that you've got choices that you can go this way or this way or this way, no matter what comes your way, that's when I think financial security really comes into play.
I love that answer. That is so fantastic and in alignment. And a lot of people think of, gambling as this high risk, like it's all or nothing. And if you know the song by Kenny Rogers, like, know when to fold them, right? And doing that calculated risk and studying the cards, so to speak, so that you're not going into it blindly. And it's so true. Not doing anything is taking more of a risk. That's the definition of insanity. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a change. And then we're like, well, what happens? Like if I do this thing? And so you stepped into this beautiful thing, and this is how you got started with your investing. Is that correct?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And what I would say is that we have to know the money games that are being played in life. And there's three different games being played. There's the game that the everyday person tends to play, which is just exchange time for money, work hard and put money away in a super or 401k or whatever it is, and just exchange time for money for 60 years of your life, right? That's 50, 60 years of your life. That's one game, and it leads to a very predictable outcome. You've then got the government offices and big businesses and things like that, and they've got a few different rules and they can make up rules and change rules as they go. And then they've got the wealthy play the game of money very, very differently. And because they play it differently, and they operate under a different landscape, so to speak, and a lot of people get caught up in this. They go, oh, well, they have a different. No, they just learned a different system, right? Most wealthy people weren't born into money. They create their money. And the beautiful thing about knowing that is that everybody can do it, right? Because it's just about getting that brand new system. But having that experience and getting myself educated and becoming empowered with my finances, because a lot of people are fearful when it comes to money and fearful when it comes to investing. But what takes away fear is knowledge. And then what even more decreases that is experience. And when you get some knowledge and you start building experience bit by bit, and you start to create this rock solid financial foundation, the risk decreases in a dramatic way, right? And that one experience for me doing that changed the entire trajectory of my life, because it allowed me to then go into the next deal and the next deal and the next deal as I started to build out this stable foundation of wealth.
Yes. And that is so true. And the more you can study it and the more you can comprehend it, the better off you're going to be when you do choose to invest. And choosing the right investments is key. What type of investments do you support or recommend to
Hey, I'm
starting out?
Really good question. And it's different than what most people think. Like, my major background is in real estate. Okay. However, I've taught and traded in shares and options. I've done a lot of time in the cryptocurrency world. I'm a nerd at that. I invest in businesses. I invest in metals, because to me, it's not about the asset. What it's about is does the purpose of that asset serve in your portfolio, which is going to help you go from one deal to another deal and through the 5 different phases of your wealth creation journey, moving towards that financial freedom phase. So to me, I don't care what it is. I care about what purpose it's there to serve in the portfolio. And so whenever I work with in my own portfolio, although I hold the majority of my wealth in real estate because it can tend to be more stable and you can feel it and you can touch it, you can add value to it. When you do get the right deals, the consistent income streams can come through really, really nicely. But I use various other strategies along the way to have this trickle down effect into my overarching buy and hold portfolio. So I invest in a lot of different assets, and a lot of my students and my clients that I work with, they build out these multi-layered and tiered diversified portfolios using these different things. But the important element is intention, right? Like, why are you taking this element and installing in the portfolio? And if it's not serving a purpose, then it doesn't belong there.
No, I love that approach. And it's so important to have the purpose behind it, because if it doesn't make sense, it won't make dollars. And
What a great way of phrasing it. That's great. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars. I love that. That's a great way of phrasing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. And so you concentrate mostly on real estate. Do you stay within your own country or do you go international?
Primarily to date, I've been in Australia and New Zealand. And New Zealand, although it's a different country, a lot of people think it's part of Australia as well, but it's it's a little bit different. We're very close. Australia, we're very far away from everywhere else, right? We're a long, long away. I've focused primarily on real estate in Australia. However, my next market I'm moving into is in Dubai, and I'm having some conversations around Bali as well, and talking in the US with some multifamily living stuff as well. So again, I think I also like the idea of, I'm very big into creating financial sovereignty. And financial sovereignty to me means that you have portfolios and assets set up in different locations under different jurisdictions with different, buckets that you can tap into and grow at different times, right? So, yeah, I'm not caught up in the Australian market. It's just what I've known, and it's just what I'm just in the process of expanding into some other areas, and it just adds some more challenges, more understanding. And so I spend time learning about it first before I go head first into it.
Yeah. So all the properties that you own, do they end up being more commercial rentals or?
I'm far more in the residential real estate sector than I am commercial. And the reason is because everybody needs a roof over their head. So I like to think about, when I'm buying something, I always think about the end user in mind. Okay, so who's the end user that I'm targeting here, and what's their intentions and what's their outcome, and all of that. Now, what I know around the commercial space is that there's more risk involved in it. There could be some higher rewards in terms of the yields that you can accumulate, which is fantastic. And I've got some clients that have some great commercial properties that have done really, really well for them. But you also have to look at the environment and the ecosystem that we're in right now. Now, we've just been through COVID, and a lot of people are working from home, and a lot of big businesses, we've gone a lot more online, and a lot of big businesses are not holding on to that commercial space that they held all their business in, as what they did in the previous times, right? Where it was just the norm. I've known some of my business partners, with companies of 100, 200 people in it, they've shut down offices in 4 different states in Australia because of the fact that everyone has gone virtual. And so with the economy in the situation it's in, and the flux that it can actually be in, with, like the interest rate environment and the fiscal policies and wars and economic stuff that's going on, the commercial real estate market can be subject to a lot more fluctuations in the market and a lot more external risks, which are outside of our control. To me, when I look at resi real estate, it's something that tends to be more stable, because if you get the right real estate, there's always going to be someone that wants to rent it, and always going to be someone that wants to buy it in the end. So yeah, I tend to focus far more on resi.
Yeah, I like that. So do you hire someone to manage all your properties, or are you like the landlord and you take care of all of that?
Definitely not. Definitely not. One of the key principles of creating success in any arena in life is all about leverage, right?
Mhm.
in every moment in time, we've got a limited amount of resources available to us. We have a limited amount of time in a moment. We have a limited amount of money in a moment. We have a limited amount of energy in a moment. We have a limited amount of knowledge in a moment. And the quality of our lives is made up by the decisions we make with these four primary resources. So what I learned early on is that I try to be the jack of all trades and doing everything and all that type of stuff and save a dollar here and save a dollar there. But as I was trying to save a dollar, I was sacrificing $10 that I could have made over here by focusing on my highest value activities. So I'm a nutter at personality profiling, and I think it's incredible because when we can get to know ourselves and double down and triple down on our strengths, and then build a team around us to mitigate against our weaknesses, that's where we can tap into this principle called leverage, and we can go beyond our own limitations that just from being a human being and not knowing everything on the planet and only having a limited amount of time. So I'm very much into leverage. To me, my highest value activities is teaching, speaking, training, and doing deals, right? And I won't do anything else. I just refuse to, right? And that's where I build the team around me who are in their own genius zone to support me in those other areas. So I don't want to set up another job to manage my portfolio. I want to build my wealth to create freedom, not to make it a handbag.
Yeah, and that's the way to go. Just creating that wealth activation roadmap so that you get to have the freedom of the time and finances, knowing that everything's flowing, creating a team around you.
That's a great phrase, wealth activation roadmap. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the wealth activation roadmap is what I do with my clients. We create a system that multiplies your money. So it's a 3-tier system where we're always looking at investing in ourselves and others, and and just creating this ripple effect to build this beautiful legacy. And it all starts with, like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to create? So, and we all have our own gifts and talents to be able to utilize that. And a lot of our listeners out there are afraid to invest, and we talk about exchanging money for goods or services, and that's exactly what we're doing. It's an investment. It's just trading, the bills for that product or for that service. And real estate's one of my favorite things. I used to be a real estate paralegal, worked for the bank, and got to see a lot of people invest in great properties. And most of them had managers that took care of all the, back in the day, you had to collect the rent manually, right? There was no
exactly.
all that. But I always say, investing in real estate is so good. I'm not a crypto fan. I have to say, I did a little bit of playing around with it, and I did not like it. I like things tangible, the metals I've looked into, but I'm pretty conservative when it comes to the investment portfolio. So it's fun to see how you've tapped into and just learned about all these different entities that are available and created this beautiful system. And it's a ripple effect. I mean, because the team is supporting you, but you're also supporting them, teaching them these beautiful skills. On a personal level, when you think about your finances, so many entrepreneurs commingle their funds with their business and their personal funds. They don't draw, a salary. A lot of them feel like they're living check to check. They're waiting for that next deal to come through. They're thinking, oh, I need to exchange this investment for cash because I don't have any cash flow over here. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So the way I look at it is that we're all running businesses in different ways, right? And one of my philosophies is that your wealth creation is a business. So you might have your personal life with as a business, which is your personal family, it's your personal family finances. It's taking care of your life, and that's a business, right? We then, if you have a business, so I run a business in my education company and the deals company that I kind of create, and that's a business. And then our personal wealth portfolio is a business in itself as well. And when we begin to approach money and our wealth as a business, there's a different frame of thinking as we go into it, because businesses that don't take care of their money go broke. But the reason that as individuals just going through life, we maintain, a certain level of viability, not in all cases, but a certain level of viability is just because we have a job, right? And we're giving up our most important resource, which is our time that we possibly have in terms of earning a certain amount of income. And often that's always going to be limited. And we can always grow ourselves to grow our wealth. And that's a very important principle. And so exactly what you just said there is there's a reason we're having a chat now. I'm fully in alignment with everything you said. I talk to a lot of my clients that you'll never out-earn yourself. So if you want to create a brand new level of external resources, being money and freedom and opportunity and experience, then you've got to become the quality of person to begin with that can actually create that level of and maintain that level of outcome at the same time. So when we start thinking about these different businesses that we have in our life, and we focus on, well, how are we going to operate these as a business? Then the frame of thinking around that changes. And I agree with you. There's so many business owners out there who, or entrepreneurs out there, even if it's, when I say business, you know, an entrepreneur, you know, mum sitting at home building a side business or a home business or whatever it is. Like, so many entrepreneurs put everything they have into that business, but they don't have anything left for themselves, right? And one of the things we've got, and often a lot of big businesses that build them, put everything into their business, and then, but their personal wealth doesn't match up, and they're hoping for this big sellout or this thing like that, which most of the time does not occur. And they're left after spending 30, 40 years of their life grinding away, taking massive risks in their business, and they don't have an exit plan. And so when we start operating from that perspective of a business, that each of these businesses needs to be cash flow positive and needs to be taking care of itself and needs to be funded and fed in certain ways and maintained and create viability around it. And so we've got this rock solid foundation. The whole philosophy and how we change things and how the flow of money moves in around our life changes drastically.
Mm-hmm. I love that answer. Thank you so much for all of that. What is you have your own business, you've been talking about your clients, and I know you have some wonderful things coming up for them. Tell us, what exactly do you do? How do you serve your people?
Yeah, look, I'm an educator at heart. That's pure and simple who I am. You know, I believe that freedom is everyone's birthright and they have to take it back. Unfortunately, we're just not given a solid grounding and foundation when it comes to money. You know, most people have very dirty minds when it comes to money because we're taught how we're supposed to operate in money and how and wealthy people are greedy and you got to have money to make money and all the type of garbage, which I'm sure you kind of, you know, talk to your clients about, help them to unravel those programmings that we have, right? And so, you know, I think that freedom is our birthright and we've got to take it back. But in order to do that, we have to become empowered. So I'm an educator at heart and I'm a strategist. So what I really do is that I work with investors to help them take control of their finances to be able to build a systematic wealth portfolio, which predictably creates an income. Because wealth is all about sustainable wealth. It's not flash in the pan, get rich quick. And I understand why you may not like crypto because this is what people do. They go into the crypto world and they gamble. That's the gambler, right?
Yeah.
But they don't understand, and they go for the get rich quick and buy the latest meme coin, hope it's going to go up 1,000 times or find this latest bot or something that someone has brought to their attention. And you know, it's a scam and it grows. I've seen it 1,000 times before. To me, it's all about building sustainable wealth over time, using everything with its purpose and with its intention, moving towards your outcome that you want to be able to create in your life. And so what I really do is I help people create strategies. I help people create systems. And the beautiful thing is that you don't have to do it yourself, right? Because the pathway is already laid out. You just need to get this system and then start following it step by step. And so I educate investors how to grow their wealth by creating strategic wealth systems in their life.
Great. Now, do you work with people just in Australia and New Zealand or all over the world?
Got clients all over the world. You know,
Awesome.
I've got a lot of clients in the US, you know, in different parts of Asia and Singapore and in Dubai and in the UK. So yeah, I've got clients all around the world. And because wealth strategy is wealth strategy, right? It doesn't change. The principles are exactly the same no matter where you go. You just have to understand, well, how do I take those principles? How do I apply it to my personal situation in the environment which I'm in, which is in your local economy? Because real estate in the US, there's some differentials to that to in Australia, for example. The lending market is different. The rentals, the yields are different. And so when we can understand that individual environment, we then take the strategy and apply it to the locality of the area.
Oh, that's beautiful. And we will put your links to connect with you in the show notes, because I know there's a lot of people out there listening that are like, I need to talk to Todd. He's going to help me. And I want to multiply my money and build this beautiful legacy through the investment of real estate. So thank you so much for being here. What words of wisdom would you like to share with the audience as we part?
Yeah, 100%. And two things I'd love to share. One is that, you know, others that want to be able to learn, I run a free Facebook community called the Wealth Dojo, which I'd love for everyone to be a part of. It's absolutely free. And I just, you know, teach strategy and teach principles and things like that. And it's a great place to be able to come in and learn, right? And so that's a beautiful place for people to be able to start. And the one piece that I would like to leave everyone is that it really is possible. You know, wealth and success in any arena in life is not about the one big, crazy, outrageous leaps. It's about the small things that you stack on top of one after another, and they up and they build up and they build up until they avalanche this thing called success. So wealth and success is about the small things. It's about a habit. And so we've got to start normalizing wealth creation in our life and start building the habit of wealth, because we've got the habit of paying bills and we've got the habit of just exchanging time for money. Now we've got to build the habit of wealth building. And it's the small things, and it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So all we got to focus on doing is putting one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other, and just commit to the journey. And that's the biggest differentiator I've seen versus those that build wealth, create the freedom they want, versus those that don't.
I love that. That is wise. Very, very wise. Thank you so much, Todd, for being here and sharing that. And for those of you listening, please join the free Facebook group, The Wealth Jojo. And remember, it's not a get quick rich scheme, right? It's about building wealth and making choices and knowing the purpose behind that. And remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's what you do with it. I can smell. Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. Give us a 5-star review and share it with your friends. Get ready to activate wealth. Be the next millionaire with a simple adjustment of your finances using an energetically aligned money multiplier system. You get to build wealth by partnering with money. It's time to have fun with finances. Pick a date. The link is in the show notes to book your wealth activation call, where you will get the one solution to multiply your money. Remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's what you do with it.